What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Live with Brandon Blakeney podcast. Of course, I'm your host, Brandon Blakeney, aka Brandon Lee TV. Y'all know the vibes, man. Kick back, relax, and come take a ride with me.
You are now locked into the Live with Brandon Blakeney podcast. Here is your host, Brandon Blakeney.
There has been lots of takes, discussions, and comments made about the Super Bowl performance from Kendrick Lamar, as well as SZA featured her as well, man. Just on the content of the music, the playlist choice. Some people feeling it, some people not. One message that seems to ring clear, though, is that this was bigger than the music. It was bigger than hip-hop, and Kendrick was doing much more than just shooting shots at Drake, even though that did occur. But one person that I think has a really good take on this whole situation and the performance after we've had time to really sit back and digest it is hip-hop's historian Ebro.
Like he said, it's about 40 acres and a mule. It's bigger than the music, right? This is about a black experience and not putting black culture on as a costume, but actually leaning in and making sure that this hip-hop thing is centered in black culture and centered in purpose. The whole theme of it was, I'm gonna play the game the way I wanna play the game. Mm-hmm. And so for your brain to then go, yeah, but he didn't play enough hits. That's actually the point of the whole
That was the point.
thing, was that I'm not gonna play this game the way everyone usually plays this game, or the way maybe you guys want me to play the game, or the way I'm expected to play the game in this halftime moment. Even deeper than that, it's funny to me that people aren't really like celebrating how hip hop this was, right? Like you have people who claim to be hip hop fans, and you have somebody that did something super hip hop, super rebellious, right? And lyrical and artistic and purposeful. And they're like, yeah, but it wasn't fun. And it was like, yo, have you not listened to Kendrick Lamar this whole, like, what was your expectation? Have you not been paying attention the whole time?
Anything he's done, yeah.
And I think many people haven't. Like I think it shows that there's a lot of people who haven't been Kendrick Lamar listeners. Maybe they're fans of certain records, but they haven't
casual
really
fans.
Right, they haven't really been listeners because he has required us to think for many albums, right? And there's always been Easter eggs. It's been a part of the whole thing. And I appreciate it even deeper than that because y'all invited him. So the expectation that he would show up and do what you want him to do for you versus what he would do for him is ridiculous also. You invited him, he's gonna do him. And that's what he did, and that right there is history.
He's not lying, man. Kendrick has definitely been one of those rappers that has been more conscious than worried about hits, it feels like, and that makes sense because he just won, his first several Grammys. But I will say, man, like, me personally, I wouldn't say like I'm the huge Kendrick Lamar fan, but I respect what he represents, and I like that he went out and did it his way. It was his way or the highway. And like he said, if you are a listener of Kendrick Lamar, I'm a casual listener. I even knew, the music that he's coming out with, the music that he pushes does force you to think, forces you to kind of step outside your box, outside your comfort zone. It's not club music. You're not going to hear Kendrick Lamar in any type of clubs or anything like that for the most part. Like, mostly, you might not even be riding to Kendrick Lamar. Like, you're not going to hear 808s and all that type of stuff for the most part about Kendrick. It's going to be smooth. It's going to be melodic. And it is definitely going to be a message behind it. And I love Samuel Jackson being the narrator. Like, that man is a national treasure. Protect Sam L. Jackson with all costs. He is a national treasure. I like the representation of black people and their role in building America. A lot of free labor, a lot of just unfair, brutal treatment. That was highlighted in Secret Messages if you really read through the lines, even with the dancers, the stage, the setup, the background. Like, there was a lot of subliminal messages in there. And shout out to Kendrick for not being afraid to be himself and do it his own way, even on the world's biggest stage. As far as performing in America, man. The Super Bowl, over 100 million views. One of the most viewed Super Bowls of all time, one of the most viewed halftime shows of all time. Kendrick came out and did it his way, and I have respect for him for that way, for being authentically and unapologetically himself. So I gotta agree with some of what Ebro was saying. I'm not saying everything he said was gospel, but I think it makes a lot of sense in the grand scheme of things. Like, if you didn't like it, you didn't like it. It's not that you, just because you didn't like it don't mean you didn't understand it. And if you did like it, it don't mean you did understand it. Like, there was a lot to catch. There was a lot to dissect. There was a lot to digest. But overall, I mean, GQ ranked it a top 5 performance all time. I'd agree. I think Lil Wayne should have still been included in New Orleans, but I get, the message that they were trying to send. More conscious, more education, more thought-provoking rap. And it feels like that's kind of what we needed in this whole scheme of gangbanging and drill music and mumble rap and drug addiction. Like, Kendrick went in a whole different direction, and some people, frankly, were not ready or prepared for it, and others just weren't adept enough to understand what exactly was going on. But there was definitely powerful messages throughout. I love when he said that black culture is not a costume. People want to be black and cool until, it ain't cool and it get a little dangerous, man. And it can be as a black man in America. And I think that was exemplified by Kendrick Lamar. So salute to him, man. I think that he got his message across. People are still buzzing and talking about it and giving their takes. And I think this was a very valid take from Ebro, man. Just considering all things with the performance, with society, with black people's place in society, how our culture is beloved and depicted and stolen at times. It feels like a game at times. Like, people want to be down with the culture when it's convenient. And I think that's the message that Kendrick was kind of pushing out, along with just being black in America and the mistreatment and the injustices. And it being Black History Month, man, this actually turned out to be exactly what we needed, in my opinion. But y'all let me know how y'all feel in the comments. That is a wrap for us. For all the latest and the greatest, I am Brandon Blakeney, aka Brandon Lee TV. This is the Live with Brandon Blakeney podcast. And until next time, make sure to follow us on social media. Like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. We out.